Hello, loves. Hello, beautiful people. Hello, my friends. Welcome to today's video. Let me turn this. I gotta turn the air conditioning down. I brought all the heat back with me from Florida. You're welcome, New Jersey. We needed some sunshine. Really, everything was getting flooded here. Holy guacamole. So, I want to talk a little tiny bit. Let's just be real. I could talk for a really long time. I own it. But something I see a lot in, the people I work with. So we're talking empaths, trauma and abuse survivors, because really that's like most of the awakening population. Trauma is really good for that. Turn it into a gift, guys. Turn it into a gift. That's what we're doing here. You got to be able to see it from a higher perspective. And that's not always easy, but part of my job. So I want to talk a little bit about self-care. And I want to talk about what self-care is not. So, because there's a lot of, adult coloring books and box breathing and grounding techniques. And, we can talk about all those things that help slow you down and bring you back into the moment. And that's a lot of what people talk about being self-care. And in a lot of the rooms that I find myself in, people are like, are you doing self-care? Well, yes. And then they go and they're like, I go get my nails done. That's my self-care. I read a book. That's my self-care. I exercise. That's my self-care. I agree that all of those things are taking care of yourself and they're all necessary. But many of those things, like we're talking about breathing skills, we're talking about grounding, we're talking about techniques, I call those coping skills. Those are coping skills. They bring you back to the moment. Super helpful. I think you should have a really full toolbox of those. We can talk about those more. We talk about specific ones that work for people when we're working together. And it varies from person to person. And personally, I find that I use all sorts of different things for a vast array of reasons. It might be flow arts one day, it might be reading my favorite book with fluffy little animals the next day. Those are all great things to kind of take care of yourself and slow down. But when we're talking about self-care, that's really, how am I building a space for myself? And when we talk about building a space for yourself, self-care for empaths and trauma and abuse survivors, I find the best way for us, all of us, to provide that self-care is, here it comes, saying no to people. Just tell them no. No is a complete sentence. You can tell them no and everything will be fine. You don't have to give an explanation. Oh yes, my trauma and abuse survivors, we are such good. Actually, I shouldn't say we. I don't identify as that anymore. But you know what? It's in there. We'll use a we because I'm fine getting in the pool so we can all rise together. I'm good. They're just words. Oh, I can hear so many parts being like, words are important. They serve a purpose. So, I lost my train of thought talking about pools. Now I want to go swimming. Saying no to people. Oh, no is a complete sentence, and you don't have to give people a reason. You don't have to tell people why you're not doing something. I cancel things all the time. My friends know it. My colleagues know it. They're like, you know what? Nope, can't do it. Sorry, it's not going to work for me today. And it's perfectly fine, because our trauma and abuse survivors, that whole past, there's a huge field of invalidation that makes you over-explain. You want to give a reason. You want somebody to understand you. Understanding you. Being seen, being heard. There's spaces for that. It's a whole nother, there's a book, but I got other books coming before that. But self-care for empaths and trauma and abuse survivors is about saying no. It's about telling people, no, I can't come to the PTA meeting. No, I cannot meet you at the library to help tutor you in math, even though I'm good at math. No, I cannot come to the family Thanksgiving holiday because I don't think it's healthy to be around you. No, just no. You should practice saying it. Practice with small things. Build your way up. Usually it's easiest for people when they're working with someone else in order to do this, but you don't have to. You can be accountable to your followers on Instagram. You can be accountable to your journal. You can be accountable to your friend. Ultimately, accountability lies with being accountable to yourself, because here's the best part, and here's what happens when you start saying no and then you hold yourself to it and you don't let little passive aggressive comments come in. You don't let people think that they have a special relationship with you. Sorry, I've gotta look at the traffic here. You don't let people who think they have a special relationship with you move your own boundaries. You've got to be able to hold the space for yourself. And it can come with practice, or it can come abruptly. There's a big continuum. Sometimes it's a continuum, and sometimes it's a gigantic jump. Which is why sometimes it's so hard to do this, because people are like, well, just practice. You'll get better at it. Some people do, some people don't. Some people that I've worked with, they just get better practiced at it, but it's still uncomfortable. It's kind of like giving yourself a shot. You know it's going to hurt, but you do it because you know it's good for you. So, I had one more point I wanted to make, but we lost it here. No is a complete sentence. I totally support you. It might get easier, it might get not. Let me put it this way. It does get easier. It will become more natural to you. But, I remember what I wanted to say. The thing is, so what happens when I say no to people is that they know that I will always, if I want to be somewhere, I'm going to be there. So when I do show up, they know that I'm in my integrity, I'm committed to it, and I'm going to be showing up as my best. When I used to just show up for anything anybody asked me to, you get spread so thin. You're not really interested in whatever, you wanted to actually be doing at the time. You did it because somebody asked you to, and because you felt that you owed it to them. So when I do show up, I'm in my integrity. People know that I want to be there. And we got police holding us up. All right, we're moving. And people know that they can depend on me. That's really what it comes down to. If something comes up and you can't show up, then gauge whether you need to give a reason or not, depending on what it is. I'm not saying never give a reason, because if I've committed to something and I really can't make it, depending on the situation, I may give a reason. But ultimately, it comes down to who's the one holding space for you. It's you. You are important. You matter. You are worthy. That's really the biggest. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest come to Jesus moment for empaths and trauma and abuse survivors. You matter. You are worthy. Your decisions are valid, and no one else needs to approve them. I love you. You don't even need to care whether I love you or not. It doesn't matter. What matters is what you do. But in the meantime, we can still support each other until you get there, and have some fun along the way, because together is a fun place. You just bounce around, have some contrast. It's a good time. All right, I'll leave you with a joke. I think I'm enjoying putting jokes in the videos because they crack me up. So one of my favorite jokes is, what is black and white and black and white and black and white and black and white and black and white, black and white, black and white, black and white? A penguin rolling down a hill. I love you. Say no and create space for yourself. Bye, loves.